Nobody never have became famous just for writing a speech without saying it. And of course that we know, it's true, that the writing part, it is the first step on a speech. But it only represents 25% of the entire work. On the other hand, we have the 75% that is represented by all about delivery. Exactly. Delivering, it is the most important part of your speech. Just think about this. What if the most famous speech of all times was just a writing in a paper and you could just read it, but there's no delivery? And yes, I'm talking about I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be...
This is the most famous speech in the world. But what if Martin Luther King didn't use his amazing abilities of a speaker? His really incredible way to delivering the speech is was exactly what made this speech the change and the impact that he do without his movement. A lot of people have came into the hall of fame of delivery, and not just for being really good speakers or being weird speakers. For example, Winston Churchill.
Were subjugated and starving. Then our empire, we're on the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.
For example, Elizabeth I.
Let them come with the armies of hell! They will not pass! And when this day of battle is ended, we meet again in heaven, or on the field of victory.
Or even John F. Kennedy with his "We decided to go to the moon" speech.
Energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
And even the really awkward speech of Cardi B on the iHeartRadio Music Awards.
Cause even when I'm wrong, they be like, bah, 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 bah. My album will be coming in April. Oh,
all these speeches have came into the Hall of Fame because the people are going to remember it forever, and not necessarily because it was a really great message, but for their delivery. Of course, if you are going to deliver them a speech, you have to write or at least know what is going to be your message. But it doesn't matter if you have the most incredible message of all the world if you don't know how to say it. Because remember, what you are saying is important, but how you are saying it is going to make a difference. Knowing this, we can understand that before to even try to make a presentation or even try to came and give a speech in front of an audience, you have to know how are you going to deliver it. My name is Manuel Pineda and we're going to learn exactly that, how to deliver a speech. The 4 methods of delivery. Method number 1, impromptu speaking. Impromptu speaking is when you have no idea that you have to do a presentation, but okay, it is okay. You stand up and you go into the front and start talking. But why? Because it's common on a really informal thing. For example, if you are in a party and you want to make a toast. Of course that some people get really into it and before they toast they write what they're going to say, but other people are a little more relaxed people, so they came to the party and let's make a toast. And they start imprompting what they are saying. That is the impromptu speaking, and it's really informal and it's not recommended if you have to do a really important presentation. Method number 2, extemporaneous speaking. Extemporaneous speaking is when you know something about the topic. It is a really important topic and you know about it, but that not necessarily means that you've been practicing days before. It is extemporaneous because you have some knowledge about the topic, but it's not really prepared. It is really normal when you are in a school and you have to do this presentation and you just read a little bit about the topic and then you start giving the information. Method number 3, speaking from a manuscript. Speaking from a manuscript is literally reading directly from something that is already written and saying literally word by word. This is really normal, for example, in a theater. The narrator who is narrating the history, it is reading from the manuscript everything that he is saying, or she. Method number 4, speaking from memory. And speaking from memory is when you write down your speech and you start reading it and reading it and reading it and reading it until you have the entire concept in your mind. Everything. You're going to say it literally, but without reading it. It's just going to feel like it is impromptu, but actually you spend the last 24 hours remembering. This is really dangerous because if you are going to remember everything and you forget only one word, it could make everything feels different or feels difficult if you forgot just one word. But the way you are delivering is not the only thing that is going to affect the delivering of the speech. There is a lot of things, a lot of context that can affect the way you are delivering. For example, the using of lecterns. Lecterns is a superficie that some people use to put their notes, put some water, or even have a microphone. This is really could be a good thing or a bad thing. Some people use this lectern to make them feel powerful, but other people use the lectern to hide themselves. So before you even try to use it, find out what kind of a speaker you are. A small or large physical space. This is talking about if you are talking in a big or a small place. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the place is, always remember to act yourself like it is important, because both are important. And this is the moment when you know the outdoors. It is really easy for you to make a speech in an auditorium because everything it is working for you to feel comfortable. The audio, the lights, everything. But if you're in outdoors, it's going to be hard. For example, if you're talking to people on the stairs, you have to make sure that everyone, if it's in the front or is at the end of the stairs, have to listen to you and pay attention, or at least try to understand what you're saying. The microphone. It is okay if you all have a lot of people and you decided to use a microphone, but it's not okay if you think that the microphone is going to clarify what you're saying. It is only going to amplify your voice. That means that everyone is going to hear you. But that doesn't mean that everything you're saying is going to be clear for your audience. So the fact that you're using a microphone doesn't have to make anything about how are you going to be talking. And the audience size. It is really easy if you're going to make a speech in front of 5 people. Yeah, it is easy to make sure that everyone is paying you attention. But what about 5,000 people? Okay, that's a little bit of change in there. But even though you have to make sure that your speech is really good, and not just because it's a small audience, you have to think out. It's a small audience, it is not important. What about if those 5 people are going to make a really good impression in your speech? Then using notes. A lot of people have to use notes through their speeches, but it is not just the using notes, but using notes effectively. For example, you have to know the purpose of your notes. What do I mean with purpose? Well, if we are going to write your notes, that doesn't mean that you have to write your entire speech. You're going to have a lot of sheets, and it is not a really good way of using your notes. First of all, know why you're going to use your notes. For example, if you have some words that are for you difficult to pronounce, then write it. So the purpose of your notes are to remember you these words. Or if you have a really specific message that you don't want to forget in your speech, write it in your notes. So the purpose is to remember you your important message. Then the key tips and keywords. Don't make a big amount of notes, only being really specific, and hold them naturally. It is really awkward if you're using your notes like this, because people can actually like, is he really reading everything? Or do he know what he's saying? If you're using your notes naturally, people are going to feel comfortable, like you. And remember to note cards to trigger recall. The recall, it is the moment when you have in your notes a specific word and you know that when you reach that word, in your mind you have a remembering of everything that is going before or after what you're saying. So, if I'm talking about using notes effectively, I'm only going to write purpose. So I'm going to remember that it's important to know the purpose of my notes. And large letter. If you are writing your notes, it is better if you do it in a computer. But select a real big letter. Because if you don't, maybe it's going to be difficult for you to read everything and you're going to be like an old man trying to use their phone. Then practice for a successful delivering of your speech. But what is a good delivery? Well, a good delivery is when you reach all your goals in your speech. You have your writing part, you know what you are going to say, you know how you're going to say it, you know your audience size, you have your notes, you have everything. That is a good delivery. And try to use the conversational style. It is what I'm doing right here. Even though no one is answering me, I am doing like if I'm talking with someone, just to make it feel natural. Also remember everything that you already have learned. Your eye contact, your use of vocalists, your volume, your rate, your pitch, your pauses. If you are talking, you don't have any pauses, people are going to be like, okay, slow down please. Your vocal variety and your pronunciation, your physical manipulation, your posture, your movements, your facial expression, everything. Everything is important. The way you are dressed up for your presentation, your self-presentation, the variety you're going to be using in your speech, and when you practice, try to do it in different ways. For example, you can practice in front of someone and then ask them for feedback. Or if you are kind of a bit awkward, you can record yourself and then watch yourself and say, okay, I can improve this, I can improve that. Remember that the audio and the video you use in your presentation is something that your audience is really going to appreciate. And for the last, the good delivering, it is a habit. I'm sorry to break all your dreams, but if you read everything about how to be a good delivering of speeches, but you never practice, you're never going to be a good deliverer. Because it is not just something that you can learn and apply at the next day. It is something that you have to do over and over and over and over and over again until it became a habit. Until you can do an impromptu speech with good delivery. Everything, it is a habit, something that you must be doing over and over again. So at the end of the day, you are doing a good delivering for habit, not because you spend the last 84 hours trying to do it. That is everything. And if you actually are applying everything this every day and every time you are doing a speech, you're always going to feel great and your audience is going to feel great about your speeches. I hope everything I told to you is going to help you to improve every day. Thank you.